The Bone tool in Adobe Animate enables you to create a puppet, rig it like a marionette, and teach it how you want it to move. The advantage being that you only have to draw the character once. I'm going to give you a tutorial about the very basics of using the Bone tool. So, File New, HTML5 canvas. I'm going to hit Create. I'm going to change my stage to 50% so I can see the entire stage. And I'm going to start by drawing my character. So I'm going to use black as the fill color and no outline color. I'm going to use my brush tool. If you go to properties, you can change the size of the brush. So I'm going to make a fairly thick brush, and I'm going to draw a stick figure in a running pose. So there's the head, there's the neck, there's the body. I'm not going to draw any detail on this whatsoever. And I'm going to now take my bone tool and I'm going to connect the hips to the shoulders, to the neck, and then to the head. You basically have to press down and drag. There we go. Okay, so that's the first layer. I'm going to now test it out by using my selection tool. And you can see that the head and body move and that the pivot point is my original starting point, which is the waist. Okay, so now it's called armature, and I'm going to change it. Now it's an armature layer. That means everything that I drew so far is in this armature layer now. And so I'm going to take that armature layer and I'm going to call it head underscore neck underscore body. Okay, so it's now an armature layer called head, neck, body. I'm now going to add another layer, and this layer, I'm going to take my brush and I'm going to very quickly and simply just make a bent arm. No detail, just a bent arm. Okay, and now I'm going to use the bone tool and I'm going to rig it. Elbow, start at the shoulder, go to the elbow, and then from the elbow to the wrist. Done. Okay, I'm now going to call that arm. Okay, and I'm going to test it out by grabbing my selection tool and I'm going to move it around. It works perfectly. So I'm going to take arm, I'm going to duplicate it, and I'm going to now take my one arm copy and I'll put it underneath the neck and head, neck, and body. So one is on top, the other's on the bottom. I can take my free transform tool and just move them away from each other. And I'm also going to take this opportunity to put them in different positions so that they do not overlap each other. And I'm going to just take this one and put it here, and this one and put it there. Take my selection tool and I can move it there. Okay, so now I've got 3 layers. There's arm, and then there's, I don't know why this is called neck and body. It should be called head underscore neck body. Okay, so that's head, neck, and body, and then there's arm copy. Now I'm going to add one more layer. Again, you're only using one color today. This last layer is going to be the pants. the shoe. You can use the paint bucket to fill it. It has to all be one color. And now I'm going to take my bone tool. I'm going to start at the hip. I'm going to go to the knee. I'm going to go to the knee, to the ankle, and the ankle to the end of the foot. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to rename this leg. Okay, I'm going to right click on the armature layer leg, and I'm going to duplicate that layer. I'm going to then take the move tool and I'll move this one out of the way. I'll take this one and I'll put it on the body, and then I will take this one and I'll put that on the body. So now you have what amounts to almost a stick figure, but in all these layers. So you've created a character, and now you're going to teach that character how to move. Now, this is designed to all be done in one class period. It's just a very rudimentary tutorial, so that's why I told you not to use multiple colors, and also only to not to use too much detail. Okay, so I have all these body parts, and I'm going to go about 1 second out and click on each layer. If you are on a Mac, you hold the Command key. On a PC, you'd hold the Control key, and you click on each layer so that they're all selected. Right click, and you're going to insert pose. Now, what you're doing is called pose to pose animation. You're going to take your select key, tool, and you're going to bring this leg forward, and you're going to bring the other leg back. Okay, and you're going to now, most people swing their arms when they walk, so you bring this arm forward and this arm back, and then this arm forward. There you go. Most people don't keep their head exactly perfectly in one place when they walk, so I will also move the head a tiny bit. Now I'm going to go to 2 seconds. Again, you hold the Command key on a Mac, the Control key on a PC. Select all the layers, and you're going to insert another pose. And there we go. So what you're doing basically is a walk cycle with a puppet that you've created. Now I'm going to go to 3 seconds. I'm going to hit the shift key, and this is where it becomes a little more complicated. I need to make sure that I'm duplicating the very first pose, because you want this to move on a loop, and it's not going to loop properly. There's a big jump between the end and the beginning. So I'm going to do insert pose, and then I'm going to hide all the layers. I'm going to unhide the arm, and I'm going to see where the arm was at the beginning and where it is at the end, and I'm going to try and mimic the beginning pose as closely as I can so that it ends up where it started. Okay, and then I'm going to hide that layer and go to leg copy. So that's this layer. It was bent and forward, and this at the end it was bent and forward, but not quite as scrunched. So I'm going to try and, there we go. Okay, hide that, and now unhide leg. At the beginning, it looked like that. Here, it looks like that. So I'm going to push it so that it looks like it did at the very beginning. Okay, and now I'll hide that. Now I'm going to go to head, neck, body. It was bent slightly forward at the beginning, so I will bend it slightly forward, just slightly now. Okay, and I'll hide that. And now arm copy. At the beginning, it was bent a little more, so I will bend it a little more. Okay, so now, theoretically, my character is going to end up very close to where they started. It looks like the legs were a little spread out more in the beginning, so I'll just extend the legs a little more at the end. Okay, so theoretically, if I click here to make it go on a loop and I spread this out so I can see the entire loop in a sample and I hit play, it's going to be a very smooth walk or run cycle because the person's body is going to end up at the end where it was at the beginning. So when it'll look like it's looping properly. So once you are able to do that, it's just a 4-second animation. Your next step is you're going to reduce the size of the scene to only 25%, and you have to add in one more layer. And that layer has to go to the very bottomest bottom. You have to slide back to the beginning of your movie, and you're going to have to pick a very bright color. It cannot be black, and it cannot be a dark color because it's going to be the color of your background. When you export a movie or a video in Adobe Animate, if you do not put in a background color, it defaults to black. So if your figure is black, which it is in this case, then the whole movie is going to look black and you wouldn't get a good grade. So I'm going to just go to my rectangle tool. I'm at the very beginning of the movie in the bottom layer, and I'm going to add in blue rectangle as my background color. You have to do this at the very end of the assignment. You can't do it at the beginning. If you try and do it at the beginning, then that rectangle will only show in the first frame. You have to do it at the very end, right before you're done. And now I have my running character. So I'm going to hit stop. I'm going to save as. I'll call it running stick figure experiment. Okay. Save. And now I will do file export. Export video / media. It's going to end up in my downloads. It has to go into the media encoder. And then I will see my final video. Okay, it says that it is there. So I will go now to my downloads. Just a 3-second video of somebody running. Okay. And that is the assignment.